Imagine living in a house with no lights, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, for 30 or 40 years of your life, in total darkness. But you're still eating, sleeping, trying to wash your sheets and everything else. Imagine if after 40 years you turn the lights on, what do you think you'd see? You would probably become very overwhelmed. And the first thing you'd probably say is, oh my God, how did this happen? I don't remember doing this. But the first thing that you will experience is overwhelm. Why can't you just be a little more real? Why do you always feel you have to say these things to be this way? If you want to up the stakes and play a bigger game, the first thing you need to up the stakes is drop the facade. Stop trying to be something that you're not. Fake it till you make it is almost like carrot and stick motivation. If you want to up the stakes, it is not about faking it anymore. It is about being real, authentic, and genuine, and wearing your heart on your sleeve. Where does self-sabotage show up most for you? What is self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is a conflict of values. If self-sabotage is a conflict of values, what is it that creates that conflict? Who would agree it's very easy not to succeed when you don't know what you're doing? But here's the challenge. When you know everything that you have to do, then all of a sudden, guess what? You're aware, but then there's only one thing stopping you. So, when we make the decision to become more conscious and we turn the lights on, the first thing we're going to experience is an overload of information. We're going to feel overwhelmed. That is going to trigger what? Stress. And stress is going to have a biochemical effect. Now, I'm not going to go into all the biochemical responses that the body has to stress, but there's one in particular that is really important to be aware of. What is it? Cortisol. And what does cortisol do? It makes you fat, it makes you old, it makes you carcinogenic, and it makes you stupid. Your IQ will be cut in half. The average IQ is about 80 to 100 points. The moment you have cortisol, you're going to take roughly 50% of your IQ, and it's going to be diminished within 7 minutes. Within 7 minutes of you experiencing a higher level of consciousness, within 7 minutes of you being introduced to a higher level of consciousness, you are going to experience overwhelm, which is going to trigger stress, and you are going to have a tremendously great chance. The probability is very high for you to lose half of your intelligence in the next 7 minutes. How do we make sense of all of this? We take responsibility. First of all, we need to be aware that when we become more conscious, we will experience information overwhelm and we will experience stress. In most cases, when we experience the stress as a result of seeing more, we label, we give the authority, we give the power to someone else in that creation. So in order to be consciousness, we must be willing to accept full responsibility for everything we see when we turn the lights on. If we're not, we are going to experience very high levels of repetitive pain. responsibility for what we're now starting to see. We need to expect that it is quite normal, and we don't need to fight the information overload and the overwhelm. We can be aware that often when we feel overwhelmed, stress will become present, but this is where we need to interrupt. We need to intervene and go, right, I am not choosing to feel anxious, I'm not choosing to feel pain, I'm not choosing to feel anger, frustration, panic. I'm now choosing to feel grateful. But consciousness without responsibility equals pain. You must be willing to own your shit.